Hey, I am on tour right now. The 2025 tour has already been announced. I'm going to so many cities and more cities to be announced. But first, next week, I'm closing out the year in Nashville at Zanies, one of the best clubs in the whole entire universe. So if you live in Nashville and anywhere in Tennessee, make the trip out, come to the show. It's going to be so fun. I'll see you guys there. And that's all next Wednesday. In my bio, the tickets are easy to find. And then the holidays. Chilling for the holidays, coming back in the new year in Minneapolis, January 11th. The Cedar Cultural Center. Tickets are flying for that one because it's a Saturday night. So if you want to come to Minneapolis, get your tickets now before you can. So don't yell at me if it sells out. Okay? Great. And then I'm going to Florida. I'm doing a whole run in Florida. I'm going to the Dania Improv, which is basically the Fort Lauderdale, Miami area. So that'll be your show for that one. January 21st. Excuse me. That's the 23rd. I went backwards. January 21st, Orlando. January 22nd, Naples. Then the 23rd is the Fort Lauderdale, Miami show at the Dania Improv. Closing out January in Portland, Maine. January 31st to February 1st. Will I freeze like an icicle before I make it to the show in Maine? Potentially. Guess you're going to come up to the show. Guess you're going to have to come to the show to find out what happens. Coming up on this pod, I want to talk about my shows in Denver and Phoenix. I have just been spoiled lately with performing at some of the best clubs ever, and it's just been such a fun ride, as well as some downtime. So let's get into it. Come see me on the road and watch or listen to the podcast. That starts right now. Here we are, episode number 60 of the Willie B Pod. What's good? I'm back with you guys. It's been a little while, but I'm back. How are you? I hope you're doing well. Life's been good for me. I'm feeling good. Not a ton of big updates in my life. If anything, it's been, it's coming off of a crazy fall where, September, October, or just crazy. I feel like I was on the East Coast every week, back and forth, and I was a little bit burnt out. I know I talked about it on the pod. And now once we kind of move into this end of the year phase, the trips really start to slow down, and my life starts to kind of my life almost takes a big deep breath. And I can just kind of be a human, and I can relax, and I kind of had that vacation, and then I did one more East Coast trip, and now we're really been relaxing. I've had a couple weeks off, and then I went and did Denver and Phoenix, which are very easy trips. It almost doesn't feel like going on the road, flying an hour here, hour there. It's really so easy for me. It doesn't take the same toll on your body. So, and then after that, it's like I have, almost all of December off, except for the Nashville show, which I'm just going there for one show and back. And I used to get really kind of anxious around this time as a young comic because, again, as a young comic, we are so programmed into, stand up every night, 100%, sacrifice everything, get up 5 times a night, and just your whole life is do stand up. And so, because that's how I was programmed, and before I kind of had this career that I have now, I prescribed to that mindset of just being obsessive and get up every single night. Maybe take a Monday off, but every single night, And so when the holidays would hit, things would slow down. Whether it's opportunities to open for people on the road, whether it's in-town shows, everything would slow down, and I would feel awful. I would feel like I'm being lazy, I'm not being productive. It's the very kind of capitalistic way to view things of I'm not producing. I'm not, which actually I take that back. It's not so much capitalistic because it's now my life has become a little bit more about that because what I'm doing is actually making me money. Back then, it was more just I've had this feeling where I have to be, creating something and progressing at all times, or else I'm lazy, And so I had to just kind of deal with the holidays and just count the days until the new year to when things start getting back to normal. And now cut to, and I stand by those feelings because, I wanted to be successful so badly that was all I was focused on, right? And it was worth it because look where I am now. I have a successful career. So it was all worth it, 10 years later, but I had to just get through the slog of the holidays. And now we cut to me as a 10-year comic, as a headliner, as this is my career and my dreams have been fulfilled and actualized. I feel like I can relax. I don't have to be this crazy obsessive person. I've realized that stand-up, it's okay if you take some time off. It's okay if you get up 4 nights a week instead of 7. That's okay. And if anything, I'm enjoying the downtime. I'm enjoying the holidays, taking 2 weeks off, or, of let's say I do a show here and there, 2 weeks not going super hard. And I'm just kind of enjoying it because not only do I feel like I've earned it, and that's going to come up a lot in this life section where, that's why I took the vacation in Cabo, wanted to feel like I earned it. I took the trip. There was no guilt. There was no anxiety about my production. And so now it's the same thing where I'm like, I've earned this. I've earned this holiday time to take a beat and relax. And also once the new year hits, like once middle of January hits, your boy's going hard until until May. I'm going consistently, decently hard until then. And so I keep having to also remind myself of that. And it's nice to even vocalize this stuff on the podcast. This is almost like a little therapy session for me because I am now remembering like, oh yeah, really lean into this time. Your life's going to start to get crazy again. Ramping up for the special in April, which by the way, again, I don't know how much I've told you guys, but the special, shooting it in Sacramento, April 5th at the Punchline. I'm doing the whole weekend, but I'm shooting Saturday night shows. Those tickets are all on sale. So if you go to Punchline Sacramento, I think it's like punchlinesac.com. Tickets are up, so you can go get them. I just haven't done the announcement yet. I'm going to do like a video announcement of like, hey, I'm shooting a special in a couple weeks. So just for you guys though, that's up. And that's going to be all Bay Area people. So if you live in San Francisco, San Jose, the Vale, I need everyone to come to that show because I'm not doing any more Bay Area shows until like this summer. And so this will be the last time that I get to kind of perform this set, the special set for the Bay Area. So anyways, that's all up. So again, my whole year is going to be kind of ramping up for that. And then once that ends, I'll have a little bit of time and then boom, I'm right back on the road doing the new set, which I'm so excited about. I've been really hammering away at working out the new set because again, if you're kind of new to comedy, the whole thing is when you put out a special, it's like the primary reason to put out a special is so you can retire that material because you just get sick of it, right? And if people come see you, they don't want to see the same set over and over. So you have to kind of retire that material, put it on tape, and then start the new set. And so I've been working really hard for the last, maybe 6 months, cultivating a new act, cultivating a new set, bringing in jokes that I don't do anymore, making them funnier, come up with brand new ideas, taking old ideas, making them new. It's been this really fun process, and that's what I've been working on, and I have until basically, another 6 months essentially to get that ready. And I already feel like I'm in a good place with it, to be honest. If I had to do it now, I maybe couldn't do a full hour, but your boy could do a pretty solid 50-minute set, including crowd work. Just saying. Of new stuff that you guys haven't heard. So the reason to bring all this stuff up, it kind of ties into what the last few weeks have been for me. I had this week, and it was a Thanksgiving week actually, and I was coming off of Cleveland, Philly, and Kaylee and I were like, well, we're not going anywhere for Thanksgiving. We're just laying low, and we're like, I decided I'm going to take the week off. I'm going to take Monday through Thursday off. Thursday's Thanksgiving. The rest of the week I'm taking off. And we did this thing called 4 Nights of Fun, where we basically did something fun each night. We went out to dinner one night. We went out to a movie one night, and I just took a full break. And I was so rejuvenated. I felt like a video game character that had like regained health and stamina. I felt like a new person. And by the time I had my first set back was at Comedy Magic on that Friday, and I was like crushing. Cut to Saturday. I'm doing Flappers, all my home clubs. I did 2 shows and it was like crushing. And crushing in a way of, and I don't even like saying that word because again, I like being modest is more attractive to me as a person. Attractive is a weird word, but it's more just like as a human being, I think it's more admirable to be modest. But again, like I can also admit when I have a really good set, and I had some really good sets, and I was really enjoying myself. And that's come up a lot also in this journey of finding ways to have fun, limiting the stress, leaning into whatever those fun moments are. And those sets were so fun because I had taken this time off. I had removed myself from it. And I came back and I was like, oh, this is exciting. This is fresh. Albeit it was only 4 days, but it was enough to make me have fun. And this all ties into what I said a couple minutes ago of like being afraid of taking this time off and being so obsessive, when in reality, taking that time off actually was really helpful and better for me and benefited me as a comedian and as a person. So it's like, I need to remember that and like, oh, it's okay. Take some time off. It'll probably be good for you. And And also, another thing I did where I really leaned into just enjoying my life and having a day where I had a day this week where Kaylee is actually in Florida right now visiting her family before the holidays. And so I have this time, I have like 4 or 5 days to myself. And I had this one day where I think it was this last Wednesday, where I didn't have a show. It was my only day without a show at night. And I was like, dude, I kind of want to just have like a movie marathon. I want to smoke some weed and watch movies all day. And I pretty much did that. I woke up, went to the gym, took care of Oso, did all that stuff. And then I just started watching movies. And I watched 3 movies. And it was an awesome day. I felt no guilt. I felt great about the day. I didn't know if I was going to like it, because I do still feel that person that's like, ooh, I need to be creative at all times. I just relaxed and watched 2 phenomenal movies and then a rewatch movie, an old movie. I'm doing this thing where I'm trying to watch all the best new movies of the year, trying to watch all of them, and like ones that are going to be nominated for Oscars. If you've been with the pod for a long time, last year I watched every Best Picture nominee, and I talked about them all. So I'm doing that again this year. I'm trying to watch all of them. Some more to come on Will's movie reviews. Whether you like it or not, I'm doing movie reviews on here as we get closer to the Oscars. And it was just it's just been nice to make these kind of healthier choices for Will as the human being instead of Will as the comedian. Because again, I've been trying to separate my identity from just being a comedian to also being a person, a boyfriend, a son, a friend. It's like those are the things that are also really important. And I'm also trying to make healthier choices with social media, which has always been a real struggle for me of not reading comments. That's a big one. Just because it's, especially on Facebook, people are just awful. And I try not to just look, and not looking is pretty easy. But a big one is also just to stop checking like DMs, for example. I mean, I check my DMs because oftentimes there's that's how my agent found me from William Morris. It's like she DM'd me. So it's like I kind of have to check in with my DMs every day just to see what's going on in there. People offer me shows. But again, it's like in there is also a lot of bullshit. People will DM me and they'll just be like, I hate you. And I just have to see that and be like, oh, well, this feels bad. I don't like how this feels. And just these trolls can for sure affect you. And so I've had to just make this effort to, like, if I see a DM that starts with anything other than like, hey, Will, I'm not going to read it anymore, just because I am not subjecting myself to these weird internet troll people like I used to. And it gets wild, man. It's like I've hit a point in my career where I've had to stop checking my messages, which is a really good point, because that means that people are, it's like you have a wide enough reach that trolls are now, you're accessible to trolls, if that makes sense. It's almost like you want to be at a certain level where some people don't like you, because that means you're doing something right. That means you're doing something different. If you get no hate whatsoever, you're just this cookie cutter vanilla nothing. You kind of want to have 5% of people be like, fuck this guy, he sucks. Which, granted, I am like the most cookie cutter, I need everyone to like me comedian type of dude, but I need to remember that it's good to have some haters. I don't like that word haters. There needs to be a new word for it. I want a different word for haters. That feels very like 2002. Like, haters. I mean, honestly, bro, trolls. That's really what it is. That's the perfect word for what this is. You want to have a few trolls, because that means you're out here in the interwebs getting attention. Let's talk about Denver. Dude, I already talked about kind of the background of what this club means to me, and I think the podcast before this, I think. Quick recap, Comedy Works Denver is known as basically the best club in the country. It's, Denver is just great people, great comedy audiences, and the way the club is built is perfect. It's a downstairs basement, packed in. It's a perfect comedy club, and the shit just bangs. When you hit a punchline, it's like, bah, gah, 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 gah. It's just, there's nothing like it. And so, again, when I got the offer to do it, it was a dream come true, and then the show sold out 2 weeks in advance, which was, I think, one of the highest highs I've felt this year, for sure, is when I found out that was happening, and then we had to add a show, which that was never my expectation. I thought I had a good chance of selling it out, but you never know. And I thought it was going to be close. And so the fact that we had to add a show, there was never anything in my wildest dreams that thought that was going to happen. And so I already felt so much fulfillment even before the trip. And, dude, it's funny. The travel is so easy to Denver, but also I hate flying in and out of Denver because it's like the most turbulence you'll experience is mostly in Denver because of the mountains and the altitude. Like I remember leaving, when I did my Denver shows last year, leaving Denver, Kaylee and I, we took the flight back home, and it was the scariest flight I've ever taken. There was so much turbulence. It was fucking awful. And so now I have like PTSD from Denver airport. And so every time I fly in and out, I'm always like, ah. And sure enough, this one, dude, the landing was butter. I couldn't believe it. We landed so smooth that I was like, did we land in Boise? Am I in the right place? Bro, we landed like this. Like just beautiful. Welcome. I mean, I was like, okay, I'm here. And I flew day of, which I don't like doing because you run the risk of flight delays, cancellations, and stuff like that. But I had like a 10 a.m. flight, so my plan was to get there around 2, shows at 7, plenty of time. Sure enough, there was like delays, so I got there I think 2 hours later than I should have. It takes like 45 minutes to get out of the fucking airport because it's so big. So again, flying day of's tough because even when I got there, I had like an hour of free time, and it was a little stressful. What made it a lot less stressful is that I had a car service, which was ballin'. Like black SUV, pick me up from the airport and then drop me off at the airport. No Uber, no rental car. Boujee. Felt so nice. It's like you also just don't have to think about shit. You just get out of the airport, you walk into the car, and the driver just goes, and you just sit there. It's the best. It was so nice that it made me want to almost like book myself a car service in these cities because of how nice it made me feel as a human. And I've said this before, but sometimes you have to make decisions that are comfort over money, right? Sacrifice money to be more comfortable. It's worth it. $100 here, $100 that. It's not going to make a difference, okay? What's cool about the club also is that they have a condo. Oftentimes, when you perform at a club, you either stay at a hotel, you book yourself, they give you travel money, you book yourself an Airbnb, or they have a comedy condo, which they put all the comedians up in. Nashville has one, Chicago Zanies used to have one, and it's great because here's the condo, here's everything you need. It's oftentimes next to the club, easy. Me, OCD, look gross, right? Comedians look gross, especially back in the day, like comedians like the 90s and shit, gross. But you kind of got to put it out of your head. To me, it's just another Airbnb. If anything, there's probably less people in here. Well, there's still a lot of people. So some gross things that have happened in these condos. But what am I gonna do? No, I'll pay $500 for 2 nights in a hotel. Like, no, I'll stay in the condo. And this condo specifically is crazy. It's like a real world house on a small scale. They have like these bright, weird art everywhere. This everything's just basically really colorful and artsy and different and weird and abstract. It's just a really interesting house. And I posted about it on my Instagram. I don't know if you watched, but they also have these they give you, when you stay at the condo, they give you an easel, like a little square easel, and paint. And so you can paint something. And they've hung up all the paintings from all the comedians on the wall. So there's this giant wall of like 100 of these easels of like amazing comedians. You can see, I was like, oh, there's Nate Bargatze's. Oh, there's Andrew Santino's. Oh, there's so-and-so. It's like all these people, and you have to try to figure out who's who. Some of them are like just someone wrote something. Some of them are like they drew like a crude stick figure. Some of them they made a legitimate work of art that blew my mind, that they painted this with these materials and this easel. I was like, some of these people are legit talented. They're like painters. What the fuck? Mine was garbage. Mine was absolutely horrible. I drew my face, and then I wrote a couple things. And I know it was supposed to be bad. Well, I say that I'm a bad painter anyways, but it was not supposed to be good. I think I took a picture of it. If I did, I'll put it up here. Anyways, I stayed at this condo before actually, because when I went to Denver the first time, I know I talked about this before. I opened for Bobby Lee there. Like 7 years ago or something, and he didn't stay in the condo because he wanted to have like room service and stay in a hotel. And so me as the opener, I got to stay in the condo by myself. So I was opening for Bobby Lee, 5 sold out shows, best club in the world, and have a condo to myself. Heaven. That's what that was. And so when I come back to the condo, I have really, really good memories of what this place means to me. Again, I had like an hour, so I had really no time. My best buddy from childhood, Luke, shout out. He lives in Denver. He came over to the condo. We ate lunch together. We chilled, and just caught up with him. And then he left. Again, I had like 20 minutes. Like I had no time to do anything. And walked to the club. We're already rocking and rolling. Nolan Culver, my opener, landed, went right to the club. So met him there. And well, let me just cut right to the shows, right? So we're at the club now. And it's funny, man. The show is definitely built up in my head where it's like sold out, best club ever. And you know, it's almost like, can the expectations meet, or excuse me, can the reality meet the expectations of what this place was? And I was like, you know, it's a big hill to climb to meet the expectations, right? And sure enough, like they did. The show was electric. And two things. Number one, I had to do this thing where I have to kind of remove myself from the moment. I can't really think about that this show is sold out. I got to just be a comedian, just another show, gonna go do my set. That's how I have to think of it. If I start thinking about the moment, I get psyched out. I'm like, oh, there's how many people out there? No, okay, yeah, let me just, okay, let me think of this thing. It was like, haha. So I got to just another set. I do this every night. Been doing this for 10 years. Go do stand-up, right? So that was my first kind of way I had to lock in. And the second thing was you can always tell how good the crowd is by how your opener does. Like if your opener's killing, you're like, okay, these people are here to see me. That kill should be a little bit higher, right? And Alexa, stop. I'm doing my laundry in case I forgot to cut that part out. So if your opener's doing well, you're like, all right, cool. Even if your opener's struggling, it's still like, I should be able to get them, but not as encouraging, right? But Nolan was like ripping. And I was like, okay. And Nolan's very funny. Everyone loves him. But I was like, ooh, he's like killing. Okay. I think this is going to be good. And sure enough, it was fucking crazy. Dude, the show was unreal. It was easily one of the best shows I've done just from like a decibel perspective. Bro, the laughs were so loud. The crowd was so great. Just the people of Denver I fuck with, man. They're such a good vibe. They're so fun. They're just good people. And they're good comedy crowds. And you can understand, like from an outsider's perspective, if you're watching the show from backstage, you're like, God damn, this club really is amazing. And it's not like the people know that either. That's what's nice is that, you know, you'll go to some place and they'll be like, "Oh, you're lucky to be here. Yeah, we are the best club." It's like they're laughing like they don't know that. And that's why I think it's so great. Got two like golden crowd work moments. First girl I talked to, she had her boyfriend was the maintenance guy in her apartment complex. Awesome. Went into that. Posted the clip that this last week. So fun. Second one, which, well, let me just explain what the moment was. I talked to this dude who works at a hotel, and I asked him this was crazy. I asked him, what is something about like hotels that we don't know about? And he says that people from the hotel staff sneak off to have sex with the guests in the rooms. And yes, I had to ask about 4 times if I'm understanding what he's saying correctly. He says also that he'll go on Grindr and find guys who are in a fight with their wives and, in his words, need a release. And he meets up with these guys and does the dirty business in the rooms, and then the guy goes back to their wives, and the hotel guy sends the wife a fruit basket. Those are his words, not mine, and the crowd was losing their goddamn minds. It was one of those moments where I almost didn't even have anything funny to say because it was so insane. I said into the mic, I was like, this is the craziest thing I've ever heard at a show. And everyone's been bugging me to post the clip. I'm not going to post the clip really because, again, there's a couple things. Number one, I legitimately had nothing funny to say because he was saying everything funny by stating the facts. And so I was just reacting to what was happening, right? And so I also don't, that's mainly why I don't want to post the clip is because like I didn't have anything funny to say. To me, I actually wasn't, let's go to the Will being critical hour. I thought that show I could have been funnier on my feet. And so in that moment, I didn't have much. I'm Didn't have much to say in the moment. It was so crazy. I had nothing to add. And so I didn't want to put up a clip of basically like this guy. He was just saying all the interesting stuff and I was just reacting. So I'm not going to post a clip of me just reacting to crazy shit. I'm not doing a reaction channel. I want to be funny and have good moments on my feed. So that's not why I'm probably not going to post that clip. But I mean, if you were at the show, it was one of the most bonkers, crazy stories I've ever heard in my life. And unless he was lying, it was truly amazing. And, of course I said some funny things here and there, but it was just not up to my standard of posting. So I don't know if I'll post the clip, but I just want to give the breakdown as to kind of why people may not see that moment. And so now after that show, and also I did like over an hour. I did like an hour and 5 minutes, which I normally don't do, but the laughs were so big that it was like your set got longer because of it. And so by that time I was like, oh, I gotta like wrap up. I'm rarely in a situation where I'm like, oh, I gotta wrap up. I gotta end the show. Normally I'm like, oh fuck, I'm gonna do a couple more minutes. And so after the show, it was like the meet and greet, and then I sit in the room and I'm like, bro, I was like gassed. It was another one of those things also where the microphone wasn't, I couldn't really hear my voice in the microphone, so I had to do a lot of like yelling so I could hear myself. So I was even more depleted. So between shows, I was like, I can't believe I have to do another show. Because the height of what this show was so big. And the next show had like 80 tickets sold, which is pretty cool for the added show. But it was like a crazy contrast going from sold out, like 300 people. I got this, that, what? You have sex in the rooms? And by the way, the guy was the manager. Like crazy, blowing the roof off the place. It was unreal. And then we go to a show for 80 people who half of them are drunk and I'm exhausted. It was like, woof, okay, this is different. So I had to really like pivot to really acting like we're just doing another set. But again, I'm doing the same set where I'm doing the same set I'm doing for the special. So these are jokes I've told for a while. I still like them, but it doesn't give me the same excitement as it would a new joke, right? So now I'm telling these jokes to like a crowd that's like a fourth of the way full. So I'm like not as like excited about it. I was doing my best to give them the best show possible and pretend like I wasn't exhausted, right? And it was a really good show, but there was like some issues, right? There was a drunk guy in the front who I almost had to kick out, which I've yet to kick anyone out of my shows after 2 years of touring, but he was real close. We had a couple dudes who were a little snarky, saying some snarky comments that were kind of annoying. And someone, a waitress accidentally broke a glass. That I had to kind of throw off the momentum. So there was a lot of those moments where it was just a classic late show where it was just things were happening and I was just doing my best to like wrangle the show. And it was a little bit tough at moments, but I feel like I did a good job, all things considered. But again, it's just such I was at a different club, basically. That's what it felt like. So I had to really just, knuckle up and give them the best show I could, which I stand by. The show was a good show, but it was just a very different experience. And I still can't believe I sold like 360 tickets in Denver on a Wednesday. It is absolutely amazing. Truly, like, just it's that like Denver will forever be one of my favorite cities just because of what this night meant to me. It was just amazing. And the club was like really stoked. I mean, on some behind the scenes shit, the manager was like, he's like, yeah, on the weekends, we sell pretty well at this club, but he's like, during the week, it's really hard to sell out a Wednesday. He was like, so this is really impressive. And so the hope is that then I can come back, do a weekend after I've proven myself, right? And so it was just a really special night. What's so crazy about touring is that you do all of this, all the things I'm talking about in this crazy night, and then I have to just like go to bed. It's like, how? How do you do that? It's like I almost need anesthesia to like go to sleep. How do you not do something, Took a little bit of melatonin because I'm trying to be a good boy and not smoke on the road. And and got as much sleep as I could. But man, that was a fucking adrenaline rush. And just thank you, Denver, for everything that you gave me that night. That was just a night I will never ever forget. So now we go to Phoenix the next day. Fly to Phoenix. Car service picks me up. What up? Phoenix. Go there. Easy flight. Again, I opted for a flight at like 2:00. So we get in at, I think it was like 4 or something. And, I have like an hour and a half, no real time. Get to the hotel. And I had the worst check-in of my entire life. We're staying at a Kimpton hotel, a 4-star hotel. Nice hotel. Right? The club put me up there. Nice hotel. Not to mention, guess who got a car service in Phoenix too? Your boy. Black SUV. Pick me up curbside. Drop me off the hotel. Bro, both cities car service back to back. I'm sorry. What am I, Jerry Seinfeld? Bro, it was so nice. And I leaned into it immediately. I was immediately like, yep, this is my life. Yep, car service guy. Where we going, driver? Whatever, take me where we need to go. I'll be back here. Bro, it was nice. Boujee. And Phoenix, I did the club called Stand Up Live, which is kind of known as the best club in Phoenix. The word I'm going to use again is bougie. The club is so nice. The food is phenomenal. It's like the biggest club, seats 550 people. And they act like it. They treat you like you're the shit. And it was funny, last year I did the Tempe Improv, which is seats 50 people. I sold like 150 tickets. And so when I got the offer to do Stand Up Live, which seats 100 more people, I was kind of like, okay, sure thing. Yeah, I'll do it. Okay. It was kind of like, are we sure? And my agent was like, yep. I'm like, okay. So went and did it for a Thursday, and I was like, I'll sell as many as I can. Fingers crossed. Luckily, in every city I've gone to so far, knock on wood, I've sold more tickets. And Phoenix was no different. Sold 238 tickets on a Thursday, from 150 the last year to then 238 this year. I think that's a great step up, and I felt awesome about it. Back to the check-in. Check into the hotel. Boy, I got really off track there. I was about to do a whole hotel story, and I went hard pivot. See, this is the thing about doing a podcast alone. No one's here to hold me accountable. I just have plants and lamps to keep me accountable. They don't do shit. Check into the hotel. They give me my room. I have all my bags and 2 bottles of water that they gave me. So I'm hands full, bags, go up to the room. I have to do the key, tap the thing for the thing, which is annoying. Just bring me up. Get there. Key doesn't work. And I'm like, oh. So I have to go back downstairs to do the whole, hey, key doesn't work, help me. And I'm like, all my bags. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. All right. And I'm exhausted. I'm like, okay. All right. Go back downstairs. Go back up. And I'm like, hey, key's not working. And they're like, huh, weird. May have just given you the wrong room. Let me give you a different room. Gives me a new key. I'm like, okay, good. Finally. I just want to relax. I have like an hour, right? Before this huge show. Go back up. Tap the key. Doesn't work. Now the anger is starting to rise deep within me because I have to go down a second time. And I'm like, okay. I go down again. And they give me, the key's working just fine. Right? I go back up. The key doesn't work for a third time. And I'm a really cool, calm, and collect dude. I keep it real cool. I never get mad at anyone. I never yell. I never cause a scene. That's just not who I am. I was this close to causing a scene. I've stayed at some real dog shit hotels, and those keys work just fine. Why does the nicest hotel have key problems? I go downstairs, and I think what happened is that someone wrote the wrong room number on my key. So now, the third time, I'm down there with all of my bags and my waters. I'm sweating. I'm exhausted. Hey, I'm like, hey, my face is right there outside at the comedy club. Can someone please get me in a goddamn hotel room? I took a car service here. So can someone please get me in a hotel room? Dude, a manager had to come with me up because I was basically like, I was cool about it, but I was like, I told him, I was like, I'm going to lose my mind if I have to come down here again. Like, can someone please, like, someone come with me? So a manager came with me up to the floor and made sure I got into my room, and I got in my room finally on the 4th attempt. Dude, I was so close to causing a scene. I don't know if I even would have, because I wouldn't have been stood by my anger, but I was like, you gotta be. I was like, no way. This isn't real. This isn't real life, right? God, it was crazy, man. What was so cool though about this club is that I said that my face is right there because it really was. It was right next to the club, and the bouginess continues where they escort you to the club. Like staff members, security members from the club meet you in the lobby, and they walk you to the club like I'm fucking Seinfeld. No one cares. No one's looking at me. No one knows me. But there's like security guy in the front, security guy in the back. It was funny when I was with Nolan, dude. He went down to the lobby first, and I think at first the security guys thought that he was the guy, and they started being like, "Hey," huh? And Nolan was like, "Oh, it's not me," and like, "Don't worry about having small talk with me." He's like, "Save it for him. I'll be in here. I'll be over here." They were like, "Okay." He was just like, "Don't save your energy for the real guy. I'm gonna be over here," which I thought was so funny. He was like, "Don't small talk with me. It's not worth it." Anyways, yeah, we got to the show and it was just so nice. It's just the staff there is just A1. I even remember the server from last time. He was just this rock star of a dude. Such great food, such good vibes, and the show was overall it was I would say to my standard, the show in Phoenix, I'd say was good, not great. This is one of those shows where I have to just be honest with myself and say that I feel like the show could have been better. I think half of it was me, half of it was the crowd. I think the crowd was a little bit tougher, and I think I wasn't as the crowd work. I just couldn't get anything crowd work wise. I had like one fun moment with this family that came out and their parents, but it was just, I had this one like annoying table in the front that I kept getting distracted by, and I never felt fully comfortable doing crowd work for some reason. I don't know if it was the size of the room, the vibe, it was just a little off. And again, this is the Will being critical hour, right? We step back into reality. Everyone had a blast. I got like the best reviews, and people in my messages were saying like that was an amazing show. The meet and greet people were like that was amazing. Like the reviews were fantastic, which is all that matters. Right? I put on a great show, but to me, I need X, Y, and Z to feel a little bit different and to give the full report of like, I loved that show. And I liked the show, but it wasn't that like, that real like, oh yeah, that was sick. It was just, it wasn't, it didn't get there for me, which is okay. That's okay. Sometimes the crowd work's just not going to be there. Like I've said before, crowd work is gambling. So if I talk to some boring people and there's some drunk people who are annoying me, it's like, yeah, sometimes it's not going to work out super well, which is okay. I know the jokes. It's like I have to also remind myself that these people haven't heard these jokes before. The jokes are very strong. That's why I'm putting out a special with them. So it's like I know the show was good, but it just was one of those ones where I was like, I want a little bit more. Wanted a little bit more. But I still had a really good time. Long meet and greet. Really good people, man. Good people in Phoenix. That's another place that I really fuck with is Arizona. They were doing a live band karaoke, though, next door, and I had to start yelling during the meet and greet. Hey, nice to meet you. Oh, thank you so much. What's that? Thank you. Yeah. No, yeah. Okay, thanks. Yeah, let's take a picture. What's that? Yeah, no, I'm this tall. Yeah. It's like just yelling. And but again, thank you for coming out to Phoenix. It was obviously a fun show, but we're getting the real scoop here on the Willie B Podski, right? And I appreciate you guys joining me for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the behind-the-scenes stories. I would love that if you not only please subscribe to the channel. I'm putting out weekly long-form stand-up clips, but also if you can just subscribe anyways, that'd be nice. And like the video too, that helps. And comment anything else you would like to hear about on the podcast. You know, I'm again doing this by myself. I'm just kind of doing what I think is interesting. But if there's anything else you want to hear about, especially in terms of like like a show you went to, what are some things you would want to hear me talk about? Having been to the show. But either way, thanks for being a part of this with me. I'm really excited to close out the year in Nashville, and I may not see you guys till the new year. But either way, happy holidays. Happy early holidays at this point, dude. I hope you're doing well and stay safe out there. Enjoy your time with your family. Put your phone away for a little while and enjoy life. Try that. Trust me, it's nice. Anyways, I'll see you soon. You guys are the best. Thank you again.